All right. So, you know, everyone thinks about like all the political stuff that was going down when Liz Truss was, Prime Minister of the UK.
Right.
But imagine this, right? Like,
Yeah.
instead of dealing with all that political turmoil, she's like hunkering down, like studying weather patterns, right? And like looking at fallout maps.
Wow.
Yeah. Because, get this, American intelligence thought Putin was like really seriously considering using nukes in Ukraine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's the crazy historical turning point we're going to dive into today.
Wow.
Straight from these excerpts from Pasted Text.
You know, what I think is like really scary about this and what the source does a really good job of showing is like this shift in the intelligence that we were getting.
Yeah.
So we're talking about like October 2022. And like obviously the war in Ukraine was already super tense, right?
Right, yeah.
But like something changed.
Yeah.
It went beyond just like the usual, tough talk from the Kremlin, American intelligence agencies. Like they picked up on something different.
Yeah.
Like a change in like how Russia was posturing itself that like, it signaled like a real possibility of like nuclear escalation.
No. So hold on. So it wasn't just like Putin like rattling his saber, like he normally does.
Right.
What was it? What tipped them off?
Right.
I mean, this was some serious stuff, right?
Yeah.
Enough to get the British Prime Minister, prepping for like nuclear fallout. Like, was there some sort of communication they intercepted?
Yeah.
Or some kind of troop movement? Like, what was it?
That's where the source, kind of gets a little fuzzy.
Okay.
Which is frustrating, but honestly kind of telling too,
Yeah.
The specifics of what like triggered that super high alert.
Yeah.
Still classified.
Right.
But the fact that both like American and British leadership took it seriously.
Right.
That says a lot.
Yeah.
Think about it. Like preparing for fallout.
Right.
That means they're like thinking about like scenarios where tactical nukes, smaller ones, the ones meant for like battlefields.
Right.
They're considering the fact that those things might actually get used.
Okay. So we're not talking about like a full-blown, end of the world nuclear war here.
Right.
But still, even a tactical nuke going off.
Yeah.
That's like terrifying enough.
Oh, absolutely.
And it wasn't just like, some hypothetical, like war game scenario.
Right.
Liz Truss was actually making preparations.
Yeah.
Which means, there was a real sense of urgency there, a belief that, this threat was like right around the corner.
Yeah.
Did the public, did anyone know?
Yeah.
Did they have any idea how close we might have been to, a nuke going off?
It's tough to say, like how the public felt about the risk of war. That definitely went up and down. But whether they knew about the specific intelligence, I don't know.
Yeah.
And that makes you wonder, how do governments, talk about these big risks during like critical moments like this? Like, do you tell everyone and maybe cause like mass panic?
Yeah.
Or do you keep it hush-hush and then everyone gets mad later because you were being secretive?
Right.
It's a tough call.
A tough call with like possibly global consequences, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And like, what about the de-escalation? Like what happened that pulled us back from the brink?
Yeah.
Was it like, secret diplomacy stuff?
Right.
Or did Putin like change his mind?
Again, the source doesn't really get into that.
Oh, okay.
But if you think about like the bigger geopolitical picture we were in and still are in, like what they call a multipolar world, where power isn't just held by one big superpower,
Right.
It's like spread out among a bunch of different players, and that just makes things so much more complex and unpredictable. Like miscalculations, escalations, they can happen way easier in this kind of world.
So it's kind of like we got lucky this time.
Yeah, I think so.
But it really makes you think, right? That even a conflict that's, a conventional war like the one in Ukraine can bring us like uncomfortably close to like an actual nuclear event.
Absolutely.
That's scary.
It is.
And it kind of leaves us with some big questions, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, how do we make sure that the safeguards that we have and the ways that, countries communicate with each other are like strong enough?
Right.
Strong enough to prevent this kind of close call from happening again.
Yeah.
It's something to think about.
Definitely. I mean, in this multipolar world, right? Like understanding all of these dynamics and learning from these close calls, that becomes even more important, It's really critical.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, that is our deep dive for today.
Fascinating stuff.
Really is.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
See ya.